This part of the drive takes us through two of San Francisco's most famous communities, Chinatown and Nob Hill. The first takes us through the crowded and narrow streets of Chinatown, a place thousands of Chinese have called home for over 150 years. Here you can enjoy some tasty Chinese food, or buy some Easton souvenirs for home. The Chinatown Gate acts as the entrance to Chinatown. It was a gift given by Taiwan in 1970. The gate faces towards the south part of the city, which is considered the most hospitable direction from which to enter a city or building, according to the Chinese tradition. The Chinese characters above the gate say, "Everything in the world is in just proportion." The dragons on the gate represent power and fertility. The fish below represent prosperity. And the food dogs represent the gate guards, protecting the community from evil spirits. Of all of San Francisco's neighborhood, Chinatown might have the most interesting history. Here to relate some of Chinatown's and Nob Hill's history are the Sacramento Athwal, who visited Chinatown in February.
The Chinese immigrated to California during the 1849 Gold Rush, and even more came to help build the transcontinental railroads during the 1870s. They were paid hardly close to nothing and were generally forced to live within the limits of Chinatown, which is why today Chinatown seems so crowded.
The racism against the Chinese became so strong that Congress passed the 1882 Chinese Exclusion Act, which prevented the Chinese people from entering the United States. In response to this, most young men now cut off from their families and wives who were still in China started to join neighborhood tongs, which are compared to gang warfare today.
Hike up some of the hills in the area, and you'll understand why no one lived here 150 years ago. Wouldn't you feel sorry for the poor carrying up these hills every day? Well, I would. But that all changed in 1870 when the invention of cable car made it possible to climb these hills without even breaking a sweat.
Well, the earthquake did have one blessing though. All the immigration records had burned in the fire for City Hall, making it possible for non-citizens to declare their citizenship. This allowed the Chinese to claim their rights over citizens in bringing their families over from China. They took this allowance even further by bringing over thousands of paper relatives who were relatives only by fake documents in an attempt to boost the Chinese population.
Today, most of Chinatown gets on much better with the rest of San Francisco. But there is still some wariness in the local Chinese to the hordes of tourists who come to Chinatown armed with video cameras and cash. You'll definitely feel welcome on Chinatown's main street, Grant Avenue. It is lined with tacky tourist traps and the aroma of sweet and sour. Here you can buy anything Asian, including clothes, vases, plants, and of course, postcards. For you history buffs, it is interesting to note this street actually predates the Chinese as the oldest street in San Francisco, going back to the times when the Spanish ruled California. The oldest church in the area is the original St. Mary's Church, which has survived 2 massive earthquakes and still continues to serve the local community. In Chinese, it is called Dai Chung Lo, or Tower of the Big Bell. Inside, you can see historic pictures when St. Mary's used to be the tallest building in San Francisco. Off of Grant Street is a true Chinatown, where the locals come to buy groceries, including almost every kind of meat and fruit possible. This is Waverly Palace, a small alleyway that most tourists without a guidebook overlook. It is called the Street of the Painted Balconies. Chinatown's oldest temple, Tian Hao, founded in 1852, still hosts daily worship. Another mysterious side street is Ross Alley, once home to some of Chinatown's most shady attractions. Now you can find the tiny Golden Gate Fortune Cookie Company, which still makes fresh cookies today. Not only can you purchase fresh fortune cookies, but the real highlight is watching how they're made. Tourists enjoy watching how the dough is first pressed and heated. The hardened dough is then peeled off the oven. The philosophical fortune that makes eating these things so fun gets inside the cookie through this folding process. The cookie is then left to cool and ta-da! It's done. Pretty interesting, huh? Around the corner is one of many tea shops where you can sample and purchase a variety of Chinese tea. One of the great things about visiting Chinatown is eating here. There are plenty of Chinese restaurants where you get large amounts of food, and it's also a very good value. For the adventurous among you, dishes range from roast duck or chicken to fresh fish waiting to be served. If you are convinced that you don't like Chinese food, I suggest you open up your mind and give it a try. You might be missing out on some very unique and enjoyable taste. I've got some suggestions if you don't know what to order. This is a spicy chicken. It tastes like it's been dipped in honey. And it really is a little bit spicy. This is the Mongolian beef, and it's very, very tasty.